What's up, everybody? Sony just released the first look of their long-awaited PlayStation VR2 hardware, and it is looking real good. So, hey, that's what this video is all about. The new PSVR2. We're going to break down its specs and then also compare it to its biggest competition right now in the space, the Quest 2. You know, I've owned the very first PSVR. I own a Quest 2, so I am just invested in this space. And look, here it is. PlayStation revealed the first look of the PSVR2, and I just love the look of it, especially when you think of it side by side with the PlayStation 5. That's if you've been able to get one still. Yikes. The headset follows some of the curved lines of the PlayStation VR2 Sense controllers with what Sony calls a matching orb look to represent the 360-degree view players will experience in VR. And I think the Sense controllers look good too, and hopefully they'll feel just as sleek in hand. Now let's focus on the headset, and it looks sleeker than the PSVR, the original one. You know, that was boxier, it was bigger, and it was a first-gen product, so I'm not gonna be too harsh on it, but you know, it was a lot clunkier looking and you felt it too. The headset is dominated by white on all of its main surfaces with black trim details that match the PS5 console as well. Where the PS5 console has flatter lines and edges though, the PSVR2 headset, this is meant to have more rounded edges and curves, and you can instantly see there's a single cord coming from the headset. Sony says it will be a single cord setup to connect directly to the PS5, and you have to go back to the multiple cables and breakout box that were required for the PSVR. That just made it almost feel like a puzzle sometimes and cumbersome and just a big ordeal to set up. Plus, it also just looked messy sitting in the corner nearby your console and your home theater system. But this headset, you know, just to make sure and reiterate this will still be tethered to a PS5 console. Now the PSVR2 headset has a new slimmer design with a slight weight reduction, and this is really impressive because they've actually added a new built-in motor for headset feedback in it for the next gen. And I love how Sony's just saying, hey, we're gonna make this more badass this year by bringing the Sense experience to your head, depending on what you're experiencing. And you know, it's always gonna be a plus when you're getting new features with a slimmer and lighter form factor. Sony said that they had positive feedback from the PSVR with its ergonomics and balancing of the headset weight with the adjustable headband that's on the back. Now the ergonomics have been tweaked for an improved fit that should cater to even more different head sizes here with the PSVR2. You're also gonna have the ability to move the headset's adjustable scope that contains the screen closer or further away from your face. I'm hoping that they've improved the light pollution that kind of tended to creep in the original headset more than I liked. And also this new rubber mold around the face looks kind of like more of an accordion design, and hopefully that will help with that. The headset will also have a lens adjustment dial, so people can match the lens distance between their eyes to optimize their view. So from a fit perspective, they're doing a lot of new adjustments that sound like they're gonna pay off once people get to try it on. Now, Sony's also brought a new vent design for the PSVR2 to let air out and avoid any lens fog up while being immersed in VR games. There's also another detail we won't be able to see until we're up close to it, but they've got those thousands of tiny PlayStation symbols that you're gonna find on the PS5 console and the DualSense controllers that are also gonna now be on the front and back bands of the PSVR2 headset. So there you go, that's a first look at the Sony PlayStation VR2 headset, and it looks great, but there's just still so much to get excited about because this is gonna be a true 4K HDR VR headset with inside-out tracking with headset feedback and Sense controllers feedback. You know, we saw how the DualSense controllers just really enhance the gaming experience in a way that no other console can for the PS5, and I really expect the same to happen with their VR2 experiences. So I want to give you kind of a refresher from Sony's initial announcement that they did back in January and just show you a spec comparison of what this new PSVR2 brings compared to the original and just how significant a jump this is going to be. The display will still be OLED, so that's the same for both models. You're going to get the deepest blacks possible here, and that's always huge for gaming. This is a 4K headset with the resolution per eye jumping from 960 by 1080 on the PSVR to 2000 by 2040 per eye. Refresh rates will remain the same at 90 Hz and 120 Hz. You'll get a little more field of view at 110 degrees in the PSVR2 compared to last gen. And then you have the previous PSVR, which relied on an external camera that you had to set up to detect your headset and the motion controllers, but it wasn't great. And honestly, it was pretty clunky, especially in bright rooms when it had to detect things. So now you're not gonna need an external camera anymore because PSVR2 features inside, out, head, and controller tracking from just the headset. That's gonna be a game changer there. Also, the built-in motor in the headset for feedback is only in the PSVR2, plus you're also gonna have the new addition of the VR2 Sense controllers in hand. And this to me is just one of the most exciting things about the PSVR2 gaming experience for me that I'm looking forward to, having a haptic and also VR experience that really arguably is going to be unmatched. Now, it also brings a new HDMI USB-C connection, which will allow it to connect to the PS5 with a single cable. And then audio-wise, you'll have the same built-in microphone and stereo headphone jack. So big improvements across the board. I mean, this is truly a generational leap. But now let's compare it to what might be its biggest competitor at the moment, the Quest 2, which is about a year old and reportedly has reached somewhere over 10 million units in sales. Now, they want us to call it the Meta Quest 2. I can't do that. Like, I still call it the Oculus Quest 2. And it's the VR headset that I use the most because it's a standalone device, it's untethered, and you just pop it on and play. It's just a great experience. Now, we know that the PSVR 2 has an OLED display, and the Quest 2 has an LCD display that just can't get anywhere close to those deep, inky blacks. You'll see it right when you power up a Quest 2. The PSVR 2 is gonna have a slightly higher resolution to each eye. You're gonna get the same refresh rates, and you're also gonna get adjustable lens separation. Remember, lens separation wasn't in the first gen PSVR, so this is a huge welcome addition to the second gen. PSVR 2 also has a larger field of view by roughly 20 degrees, the same ability for motion sensors and a 6-axis motion sensing system. There will also be inside-out tracking for both headsets, but the PSVR 2 also brings new IR cameras that can detect the motion of your eyes in the headset. So that means that games can incorporate the ability to detect when you look in a specific direction or when you hold your gaze. VR experiences could create additional UI options on a heads-up display with menus. By just using your eyes, you could stare at a button or an option to select it when you look at it, or let's say maybe a character. They could tell when you're not looking at them or paying attention to you and actually call you out in games. So the fact that we can now do actual eye tracking from the PSVR 2, this could add new layers to VR experiences, and I just really hope that Sony takes advantage of it. Now, from a game standpoint, you can expect the classics to be there. You got Super Hot, Beat Saber, or Moss, and maybe they can bring in other popular VR titles like they have in the past, but the PSVR 2 will likely offer the best entry price point for a high fidelity VR gaming experience that's on the market today. We already know of a new game called Horizon Call of the Mountain. That's gonna be a spin-off in the Horizon series, and oh my God, if you've seen Forbidden West, if you've experienced it, this could also be a signature PSVR 2 title. Sony also says that game developers currently have the PSVR 2 hardware in hand, so there is just huge potential for grander and more immersive experiences if new PlayStation VR 2 software supports the hardware. I mean, that's always gonna be the biggest challenge. Now, we also don't know if it'll be backwards compatible with older PSVR games, but it would be pretty stupid not to be. But on the surface, if you look at it, the PSVR 2 and the Quest 2, right? The PSVR 2 has the cable that's gonna tether you to the console, so that's arguably its biggest drawback. But then the benefits are its ability to leverage the power of the PS5 console, its impressive visual fidelity, and the haptic feedback experience. And don't sleep on that eye tracking feature. On the other side, you have the Quest 2. This can be used anywhere you want. It doesn't have the most advanced hardware, but that hasn't hurt it. It also has this robust storefront of VR games and experiences and a community that is active and completely committed to it. So, you know, being just a self-contained headset allows you to be completely free, and that matters. So there are really pros and cons to both. And if you're fortunate to own both, well, you know what? Good for you. Now, we don't have an official release date or a price point from Sony for the PSVR 2 just yet. The expectation is that it'll come sometime by the end of the year, most likely for the holiday season. But if it does come out this year, I think that the PSVR 2 will arguably be the best VR headset for 2022 if it delivers enough games and experiences to support its ridiculous hardware. It's a powerful beast. All right, everybody, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like what you see, give me that thumbs up, subs up, and hit that notification bell, ding, to get all my latest videos that cover everything in the tech and geek space when they drop. I'm Brian Tong. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care and be safe. Peace.